Dear students, welcome to the part 2 of Unit 2 of Medium, Small and Micro Enterprise Management of 3rd BBA. In last class, we discussed about the project identification and project formulation. Now, the important contents to be covered in this session are project appraisal and project report preparation, a very crucial concept in project concept of MSME sector. Now, let us look at project appraisal. So, we have two definitions here for project appraisal. First one is project appraisal is a process of analyzing the technical feasibility and economic viability of a project proposal with a view to financing their costs. Second definition is project appraisal is the structured process of assessing the viability of a project or proposal. It involves calculating the feasibility of the project before committing resources to it. When the project appraisal process appears, after submission of the project report, certain parties will appraise the project, will look into the project about the potential of the project before investment is made in the business. So, let us look at the importance of the project appraisal. First one is it is a capital investment decision. So, huge investment is required after project appraisal and before commencement of the business. And second one is it has long term effects. Once the decision is taken, it cannot be revoked immediately and substantial profit or loss will be associated with the investment. And third one is decision once taken is irreversible. So, it is impossible to take the decision immediately back. Fourth one is high cost is involved with the investment. So, project appraisal plays a key role in project management of micro, small and medium enterprises. Project appraisal is done by whom? Who do the project appraisal? These are the important parties who looked into the project are management of the enterprise, banks and financial institutions, domestic institutional investors and foreign institutional investors, venture capital firms, institutions extending subsidy benefits and capital investment, crowdfunding platforms. These are the few important parties who want to look into the project keenly. Let us look at each party one by one. Management of the enterprise. Why management of the enterprise look into the project or project appraisal? Management want to know what are the critical areas of the project keenly to take key decisions. So, project appraisal is done by management of the enterprise, that means promoters of the enterprise. The second one is banks and financial institutions who want to extend financial support to the project, want to know what are the strengths and weaknesses of the project. Third party is domestic institutional investors and foreign institutional investors. Even foreign institutions are allowed to invest in micro, small and medium enterprises in certain categories of business. So, they want to look into the project to know the potential of the project. Venture capital firms, these are also called as seed capital firms who want to initially invest in small businesses or business ideas, and if they grow to a certain rapid phase, they just want to come out with huge profits. They are called as venture capital firms. They want to look into the project for the strengths and weaknesses of the business. And next one is institutions extending subsidy benefits and capital, whether they are government institutions or private lending agencies who are supporting the firm or unit with respect to the financial operations and financial investments, want to look into the project and want to appraise the project. Crowdfunding platforms, this is a new and unique concept in financial terms. Crowdfunding platforms are there where you need to distribute your or you need to disclose your project so that they look into the project and they wish it is a profitable firm or profitable business idea, they just pour their money into the business. These are called as crowdfunding platforms. Not one or two investors, multiple investors will just want to invest in the firm and they want to get benefited out of the potential business idea. They also want to appraise the project. These are the various parties who want to appraise the project. Now, what are the various aspects of project appraisal? Plant location and layout, manufacturing process and technology selected, project collaboration, project costs and estimates, technical collaboration and arrangements, size of the project and scale of operations, a risk of obsolescence of technology or the product. So, what kind of aspects are covered by these appraisal parties? Means plant location and layout. So what is the exact location of the plant or unit, and what is the design for layout of the plant should be known by the appraiser. And second one is manufacturing process and technology selected. How many steps are there in manufacturing the product or rendering the service, and what kind of technology is used to deliver the services or producing the products will be observed. Third one is project collaboration. Is the firm or unit is collaborated with any other external firm for preparation of the project to be known. Fourth one is project cost and estimates. What is the total cost of the project, and what are the cost estimates and profit estimates with respect to the business concept. And fifth one is technical collaboration and arrangements. Is the firm collaborating technically with any external organization or enterprise, and what kind of arrangements are done for technical know-how will be looked into in this portion. And next, size of the project and scale of operations. So what is the entire investment size of the project, and what are the range of or scale of operations, how many branches will be opened simultaneously, what could be the nature of operations will be looked into here. Next, risk of obsolescence of technology or the product. So continuous technical evolution, continuous technical advancements bring obsolescence in existing technology and product lines. So such kind of issues will be looked into in this section. Next, project report preparation, which is the second concept in this session. Let us look at the definition of project report. Project report is a written document relating to any investment. It contains data on the basis of which the project has been appraised and found feasible. It consists of information on economic, technical, financial, managerial and production aspects. It enables the entrepreneurs to know the inputs and helps him to obtain loans from banks or financial institutions. This is a lengthy definition, but still we need to understand the definition. Once again, we will go through it. Project report is a written document relating to any investment. So in project report there are various contents, so which will be discussed in later slides. It contains all the data related to technical aspects, financial, managerial, production, etc. So why this report is required? This report is required to appraise the project, to evaluate the project, to understand the project keenly before making any investment decision. Let us look at the second definition. Project report contains detailed information about land and buildings required, manufacturing capacities per annum, manufacturing process, machinery and equipment, along with their prices and specifications, requirements of raw materials, requirements of power and water, manpower needs, marketing cost of the project, production, financial analysis and economic viability of the project. What not, everything will be discussed about the business in project report. And what are the objectives of project report? First one is to identify the requirements of the resources, technical resources, financial resources, commercial resources, managerial resources and operational resources. Next, to find out the critical components of the project idea. So what are the critical areas in the business will be evaluated, will be prepared in project report. Next one is to obtain the opinions of experts from various fields. It requires opinions or advices from various experts. By preparing projects, certain doubts will be arise, so that by keen observation and preparation of project report we can or the entrepreneur can solve many problems or can resolve many doubts. To facilitate financial appraisal of the project by financial institutions, banks, insurance companies, etc., who want to invest in the business will look into the project. The process is called as project appraisal. Project report is prepared for the next level, which means for project appraisal by these institutions when it comes to the investment perspective. What are the contents in project report? General information, executive summary, organizational summary, project description, marketing plan, capital structure and operating cost, management plan, financial aspects, technical aspects, project implementation and social responsibility. These 11 are important contents to be covered in any project report. Let us look at each one by one. The first content in project report preparation is general information. The type of industry the project or service belong to will be referred here in general information section. Next, past, present and future prospect of the existing industry will be discussed, and third one is problems of the industry is also disclosed in this section, and fourth one is demand for the product, and various cost and demand concepts will be briefly discussed about the industry and existing products in the same line. Next, second content is executive summary. The name itself indicates, the title itself indicates executive summary is nothing but a summary of the project. So very briefly each section will be given a brief explanation in this unit, in which objectives of the business, why the entrepreneur wants to start the business, what is the motivation behind the starting the business, and methods to make the business success, what are the unique methods the entrepreneur has got to succeed in business, and third, overall picture of the business with respect to capital operations, methods of functioning and execution of the business, how this entire business operations will be executed will also be described here, and fourth one is a risk assumption involved in the business will also be discussed in executive summary portion. Third one is organizational summary, where type of the organization will be mentioned, whether you want to start it as a proprietary concern, partnership concern, or joint stock company will be disclosed here, or private limited company will be disclosed here. And next one is biodata of the promoters, what is the age of promoter, gender, background, educational qualification, experience, expertise in the same area will also be discussed here. And next one is financial soundness of the entrepreneur or promoter will also be disclosed in organizational summary section. Fourth one is project description, where location of the site where we want to start the business has to be disclosed in this section, and what kind of raw materials are required and how many suppliers are there, what is the geographical advantage of location will also be mentioned here. Target of production, how many units are produced annually, what could be the rate of increase in production process, and area required for the work shed, which means for operations how much area is required in SFT will also be disclosed. Power requirements, so what is the power consumption for the unit, for power consumption requirement for the units will also be discussed. Is there any fuel requirement for the business to operate it in the plant? So if so what is the requirement will also be mentioned. Similarly, water requirements will also be mentioned in this section. Employment requirements and skilled employees and unskilled workers, labor proportion will also be mentioned in this section, and technology selected for the project will also be disclosed here. Production process has to be disclosed, how many steps are there in production process, what is the importance of each step will be detailedly explained in this section, and projected production volumes, unit prices will also be disclosed. There are two types of costs involved in production, fixed cost and variable cost. All variable cost components will also be disclosed here, and pollution treatment plant, whether it is required or not, if it is required, what kind of arrangements are made will also be discussed here. Next, marketing plan, what type of customers we want to attract will also be discussed. And next one is target markets, what are our target markets, whether it is single market or multiple markets, we want to go with single product or multiple products, such decisions will be discussed here in this section. And nature of market, whether the product or market belongs to monopoly or duopoly or oligopoly or perfect competition or monopolistic competition has to be disclosed. And market segmentation, what kind of segmentation process is there on the basis of consumer segmentation like geographic segmentation, demographic segmentation, psychographic segmentation and behavioral segmentation has to be mentioned here. What are the future prospects of the market, what could be the growth invasion plans will also be discussed here, and what are the sales objectives initially, in medium term, in long term will also be disclosed in this section. Sixth one is marketing plan. Marketing cost of the project, what is the total marketing cost of the project from the identification of the market to the customer satisfaction has to be disclosed in detail. And market share of proposed venture, how much market share it wants to grab initially, and what could be the expansion plans and enhancement plans with respect to the segmentation process has to be disclosed here. And demand for the product in the local, national and the global markets has to be disclosed, and it must indicate potential users of products and distribution channels to be used for distributing the product, whether a single distribution system or multiple distribution system, which means exclusive distribution or extended distribution, So has to be decided in advance, and the same has to be included in project report also. When it comes to the sixth one, it is capital structure and operating cost. So what is the financial structure of the business, and what could be the capital structure of the business has to be disclosed, and total requirements of the capital has to be predetermined, and what is the source of finance has to be decided in advance, what is the proportion of debt and what is the proportion of equity the promoter wants to go with has to be clearly mentioned in this section, and what are the working capital requirements for running the show for a short term period has to be disclosed here. What is the total value of land and buildings and machinery has to be disclosed, and what could be the preliminary expenses before commencement of the business has also been mentioned in this section. Next, seventh content is management plan. What is the business experience of the promoter of the business? This management plan is completely about promoters and second tier management. So what is the existing business experience of the promoter has to be disclosed, and details about the management team, how many members are there, what are their biodatas, and what are their educational qualifications, in how many areas they are into the business has to be disclosed, and duties and responsibilities of each team member has to be disclosed. Current personnel needed of the organization, which means how many people are required and what positions, what is the organization structure has to be clearly laid out, and methods of managing the business, what kind of unique methods the company wants to follow to get success in the business area has to be disclosed, and plans for hiring the training personnel, lower level management and middle level management, what kind of approach they are going to have has to be discussed here, and programs and policies of the management has to be clearly laid out and explained in this section. Financial aspects. Projected profit and loss account for next couple of years has to be presented clearly. Projected balance sheet, what is the combination of assets and combination of liabilities are required to the business has to be disclosed in this section, and projected sales revenue, how much sales revenue we are expecting in initial years and how much sales revenue we are expecting after break even point, what could be the time of break even point has to be mentioned in this section. What is the total cost of production functional wise, in various parameters cost would be determined, such parameters have to be disclosed here. Next, expected gross profit and net profit has to be mentioned, and expected cash flow statement and funds flow statement has to be prepared and presented at least for next 3 to 5 years after commencement of the business. This is about this 8th aspect, and 9th one is technical aspects. Technology selected for the project has to be disclosed. What kind of technology is used to manufacture the product, what kind of technology is used to render the service, in what way the technology plays huge role in the business success has to be mentioned here. Production process, how many steps are there in production process, in each step what is the role of technology has to be mentioned. Third one is capacity of the machinery, what is the full capacity of the machinery, in initially how much capacity we just want to utilize in initial stages, which means in introduction stage and growth stage has to be mentioned. So is there any pollution control plants required for the business? If so, what are the arrangements of such pollution control plants have to be disclosed here. 10th one is implementation of the project, which means time schedule for implementation of the project has to be clearly mentioned. The timeline has to be stipulated in project report itself before commencement of the business. Every proposed business unit must draw a timetable for the project. It must indicate the time within the activities involved in establishing the enterprise can be completed. In how many days registration process has to be completed, in how many days machinery erection has to be done, in how many days commencement of actual production has to happen, in how many days marketing plans have to be sorted out. Every timeline has to be mentioned in the project report itself. Implementation schemes show the timetable envisaged for project preparation and completion. This is about implementation of the project. And last but not least is social responsibility. What is the impact the business going to create in masses is called social responsibility. How much employment is generated through the establishment of unit, what could be the income levels, and what is the distribution of these income patterns, what is the contribution of units and exports, and what kind of facilities are required for the unit, and what could be the infrastructural developments take place due to establishment of the unit are also be discussed in social responsibility content. For your further understanding and reference, a link is provided here, https mymsme.gov. and so on. So if you click on the link, you will find many sample projects related to various types of businesses. You can go through each project and you will understand practically how project report preparation will be in real time. So please go through it and try to understand the concept in a better way. So thank you very much for your patience listening. In part 3, we are going to see about industrial estates and remaining concepts of unit 2. Thank you so much for your patience listening.